Multiple days of severe weather is expected with a possible severe weather outbreak here for today as large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes could be possible. Now, on top of that severe weather risk, there is a really big threat for flooding. We'll talk about those areas here in a moment. Now, as we work our way out in the tropics, we actually do have a bit of activity that is starting to kick its way off. Obviously, we have Tropical Storm Dawn that's continuing to be a pretty decent tropical storm, expected to be a long-lived tropical storm over the next several days. And then there's some early hints of a possible other system that could be developing as a low-pressure system could be working its way off the west coast here of Africa over the next couple of days. That could eventually, may or may not, cause a little bit of tropical activity out there in the Atlantic, so something we need to watch. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to be talking about here is that potential severe weather outbreak we are expecting for today. Now, I'm just going to get straight to the point. If you guys live across portions of Tennessee and southwestern Kentucky, you guys have the greatest probability of seeing severe weather. Now, there's actually 3 levels of severe thunderstorm possibility for today. If you live across this dark green area, you can see across portions here of the Central Plains, the Northern Plains included, a couple areas out west as well, obviously portions of the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, and actually even the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. If you live across this dark green area, it's showing a possibility, a 5% chance within 25 miles of seeing severe weather. But once you move into the yellow, you can see there's quite a few places that's actually included in that yellow area. That is what we call the slight risk. That's that level 2 out of 5. The higher the number, the more potentially severe it could get, as well as the higher probability of seeing severe weather is. So obviously, you know, across portions of the Northeast, you know, we have like central and eastern New York State, portions of western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and portions of southwestern Maine. Then you move over here towards the Tennessee, Ohio Valley, so like northern Alabama, northwestern Georgia, northeastern Mississippi, pretty much the entire state of Tennessee, a lot of the lower half here of Kentucky, southern Illinois, and portions of a lot of Missouri, and even a small little sliver in northeast Arkansas, giving you a 15% chance of possible severe weather. Also, a couple little other slight risk out here towards, you know, South Dakota, North Dakota, and portions of northwestern Nebraska. So that gives you a 15% chance. And then, like I said, obviously we have the orange. That is a 30% chance zone, where a 30% chance probability of seeing severe weather. Now, in terms of the breakdowns, now tornadoes will be possible across 2 different areas here for today, kind of across these dark green areas, just giving you a 2% chance of having a tornado within 25 miles. So really, though, probability, is it something to freak out about? Absolutely not. But this includes areas of North Dakota, believe it or not, actually in a small tornado risk here for today. Same thing for north central areas of South Dakota. And that second risk extends all the way to southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, central western Tennessee, northern Alabama, northeastern Mississippi, and northeastern Arkansas. Now, in terms of hail is going to be a pretty big concern for portions here of the Midwest and the northern plains here. And actually, they do have a couple areas of significant hail being possible. So these areas that's highlighted basically is telling us that we have a really good chance of seeing some really large hail, potentially 2 inches in diameter and larger. For example, a golf ball is 1.75 inches in diameter. This is 2 inches and higher potentially possible. So really large hail being possible out there across those regions. And in terms of wind damage, there's nothing significant, but we do have a pretty good probability. The reason why we have that enhanced risk, or that level 3 out of 5, is actually for damaging winds, including some pretty populated areas like Jackson, Tennessee, portions here of Nashville, Tennessee, Bowling Green, Kentucky is included, across that 30% chance area. Basically, like I said, every 25 miles, there's a 30% chance that we potentially could be seeing some severe thunderstorms, potentially containing some damaging winds. I'd say up to 70 miles per hour possible. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get on into tomorrow's severe weather event. However, first, I do want to go ahead and show you guys, we did not mention this really much yet, but there is actually a tropical storm warning in effect for portions here of southern Hawaii. For the large island out there, obviously some problems with surf, you know, rip currents could be a possibility, so make sure you stay away from the beaches, at least for the next 2 days or so. So if you are having any planned trips out there for today or tomorrow, just make sure that you take this into consideration. Now, this is expected to approach the island here basically for very late tonight, early tomorrow morning. And like I said, we are expecting a possibility for some tropical storm force winds out there towards Hawaii, possibly up to around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Obviously, higher gusts could be possible. So just make sure that you take that into consideration. And as this thing continues tracking west, it is expected to weaken as it approaches cooler waters, and it's just going to pretty much fizzle out from there on. All right, back over here to the severe weather probability here for tomorrow. We don't have as large of a threat. However, we still have a pretty good shot for some nasty severe weather across the central plains moving into the upper Midwest. Now, once again, we have a level 1 out of 5 across the dark green areas stretching all the way from the mid-Atlantic, even towards southern New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North South Carolina, northern Georgia, northern portions of Alabama, pretty much the entire state again of Tennessee, a lot of Kentucky here as well, southern Illinois. Then we move our way in towards the Midwest, here towards Missouri. We got a pretty good streak there, but look at this. Then we work our way towards the central plains and the upper Midwest. We actually got a slight risk, a level 2 on the spectrum, giving us a 15% chance of severe weather. So if you live across areas of like northern Kansas, portions here of central and eastern Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota, portions of northwestern Iowa, and portions out here towards central and southern Minnesota, kind of towards Minneapolis, as well as central and western Wisconsin towards like Wausau, you guys actually have a pretty good shot at seeing severe weather. Now, in terms of tornadoes, there's actually 3 spots where a couple of tornadoes will be possible. One includes portions here of central eastern Nebraska, southeastern Minnesota, a couple tornadoes, a few spin-up tornadoes could be possible up there. Portions of central and western Wisconsin as well. Then we work our way towards the lower Ohio Valley and towards the Tennessee Valley for extreme northern Tennessee. A couple brief spin-up tornadoes could be possible, giving us a 2% chance, really low probability. So the odds of it happening is pretty daggone low. But a lot of Kentucky's actually in this risk as well, including me. I'm barely making it in there. But those are the 3 areas where tornadoes could be possible. Now we move into the hail. Now we do have a pretty good shot for hail across the slight risk area, giving us a 15% chance. In terms of significant hail, we have 2 areas that could potentially see those large hailstones we were talking about, up to 2 inches in diameter and larger. Some really large hail could be possible out there towards central and eastern portions of Nebraska. We have central Minnesota out there towards Minneapolis. Could see some pretty large locally hail out there. And also western Wisconsin, got to keep an eye out there for those regions. In terms of damaging winds, this also includes a 15% chance, a slight risk for damaging winds out there. But in terms of significant wind damage, we are not expecting it. So most wind gusts across the outlook area here, across the slight risk and portions of the marginal, could expect those wind gusts to be around 60 to 70 miles per hour at max. Okay, so we're moving back here to today's risk because, like I said, there is a really large chance for some significant flooding out there. There's really 2 areas that we really need to be looking out for, and one of them, unfortunately, is for areas up in the upper northeast, towards the areas where we got some really nasty flooding just the other day. Now, in terms of the areas here, we have a moderate risk for flooding, a really good probability for some really high flooding, giving us at least a 40% chance of flooding occurring in northwestern areas of Tennessee, western Kentucky out there towards like Paducah, Mayfield, and those regions could potentially experience some flooding. Southern Illinois and southeastern sides here of Missouri potentially could get some large flooding. Also, the slight risk is a 15% chance of possible flooding. But let me go ahead and switch you guys over here a little bit further. We're going to zoom in here for a second as I work our way over here towards the northeast. You can see that areas of Vermont and New Hampshire, those areas that have been getting absolutely pounded by rain for the last several days, is expected to see possible flooding, giving you a 15% chance every 25 miles of potential flooding. So we could be seeing a bit more water. You guys are getting a lot of precipitation really over the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty crazy. All right, so now we're going to work our way back over here to the tropics. However, now we're switching to the Atlantic side. So in terms of what's going on out here in the Atlantic, obviously we have this really weird system. This is Tropical Storm Dawn here. It's been a really crazy system out there. It's been doing some pretty funky stuff, as you can actually see. I mean, the track actually started just northeast of Bermuda. That little island there is Bermuda. It tracked northeast, went southeast. It kind of did a big U, and then it did an upside-down U, and then it's expected to turn into a loop. So this thing is trying to tie some shoes here. It's a really odd storm, and you can see it's been moving around through the central Atlantic. We have high pressure on both sides, so it's kind of being knocked around like a pinball is what I meant to say. So it's been pretty crazy. Now, this thing is a tropical storm with sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, so it's barely making that threshold. It will remain a tropical storm, according to the Hurricane Center, for the next several days as it continues pushing south, eventually getting a westerly movement, and then pulling up to the north before becoming subtropical or post-tropical out here in the North Atlantic, kind of here for the next couple of days. So we'll keep an eye on it. It's not really expected to do any big problems for much of anybody because it's expected to remain mostly isolated out there towards the ocean. But I just figured it's something to mention because of its really odd shape. It's definitely a really crazy system. Alright, so the last thing I want to go ahead and mention in today's video is the possibility for more tropical activity out there in the Atlantic. But guys, before we do, if you guys have made it this far, please comment down below balloons. That way I know that you guys are a true supporter here of the channel. Seriously, it's greatly appreciated, guys. If you have not already, if you're still here, consider hitting that subscribe button, leave a like. It'll be greatly appreciated, my friends. We're here for you guys. We want to make sure you guys are up to date with the weather. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. If you guys do want to support us, like I said, obviously we do have our Venmo. We just now opened, like I said, obviously this will help, help pay for the programs, help keep me doing what I'm doing here. So if you guys want to support that, I'll go ahead and pop it up right here. Venmo at NWW116. Be greatly appreciated, my friends. But all right, well, let's go ahead and get on to this last topic here of this potential tropical system. We're just going to take a look at some ensembles, as you probably already seen here earlier. But I'm going to explain what's going on here, and we might need to keep an eye on this. Alright, so when taking a look here at the ensembles, we are seeing an increasing amount of activity for possible tropical development out here in the Atlantic. So we do have ourselves, obviously, Dawn. You can see all those paths that are tracking their way up here to the northeast. The system's kind of expected just to dip and then go up to the north here. Nothing too crazy. We got ourselves a little low-pressure system out here towards the mid-Atlantic, and not expected to do much of anything, just kind of a non-tropical low. But then we work our way out here towards the west coast of Africa. We have a little area of possible development here that tracks its way up here to the west. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% going to happen, but I've actually been seeing this on the models for quite a few days now. There's really kind of a lack of support between the major models, like the GFS. I mean, the GFS was actually showing this system existing for a couple days straight. Now it's kind of been pulling off from it a little bit. So, but I'm not saying that it's going to totally not happen. I'm giving this probably about a 10% chance of possible development here within the next couple of days. So if this thing pops up on the National Hurricane Center page over the next 3 to 5 days or so, I would not be surprised. But like I said, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll definitely have to watch it because, like I said, obviously the waters out here have significantly warmed since we had like nearly no tropical activity so far. So we'll just need to keep an eye out there for that. All right, my friends. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you guys did enjoy it, once again, please consider hitting that subscribe button, leave a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. Once again, we'll actually be live here tonight, probably around 9 o'clock. So by the time you're watching this, it's probably nearly 8 o'clock. So we'll be live probably about an hour or so by the time you guys are watching this. But anyways, my friends, well, once again, thank you all so much for joining here. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night. If you guys can't catch the live stream, you all have an amazing day tomorrow. And all right, well, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. You guys take care. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.